Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Fall Winter 2025-2026 Working at the Innovation Hub event. Um, nice to meet everybody. My name is Ruth, and I'll get us started at the beginning, and later we'll have introductions. So, as we do with all events at the Innovation Hub, I want to start with a land acknowledgement. So I'll start off just by reading the U of T land acknowledgement, which is I, or we, wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So it's important to us that we kind of stress that there is a personal connection and that we all have a responsibility to this land. I specifically like to connect to this land by sharing a little bit about my own experiences, which is through using the Humber River Trail, which is the picture there. The reason why I chose this picture is that the Humber River Trail was actually used for thousands of years by the First Nations people, specifically those listed in the land acknowledgement, as a fishing grounds, transportation route, and portage trail. So, it's important that we understand the significance of these traditional lands, and that, we can treat the land accordingly once we understand the significance it has. I'm going to suggest that everyone do the same in their own time. I'm going to paste a link down below, nativeland.ca. You can look up your address or postal code to see specifically which groups are Indigenous to your area and learn more about it there. Next, I'd like to do an access check. So we understand access to be a shared responsibility between everyone in this space. We will strive to create an accessible space that reduces the need for you to disclose a disability or impairment for the purposes of gaining an accommodation. In doing this together, we strive to welcome disability and the changes it brings into our space. So I'll take this moment to ask, is there anything about the space now that we should address, or like digital space on Zoom? And are there any other access needs that might affect your participation in the session that we could also address? So if it's not something you can address immediately, you can also send me any comments, questions, or concerns, and you'll have my email right there on the slide, or you can also send me a direct message.
Great, thanks, Ruth. So our agenda for today is a quick welcome. We're going to do some introductions in a moment. We're going to go through an Innovation Hub overview, talk a little bit about design thinking, and then what's coming up this term and how you can apply for a role at the Innovation Hub. We're going to try to save some question time at the end where we'll turn off the recording and just take any questions from anyone about our process or about what we do. So thank you so much for being here. And why don't we start with some introductions? So in the chat, you can feel free to share your name, your pronouns, and your role or program at U of T. And just a few reminders that we are recording this session. So please stay muted if you're not speaking. And like I said before, there'll be some time for questions at the end if we can't answer them in the chat. You're welcome to turn your video on, but it's not required. So while you're typing your introductions in the chat, I would love to introduce you to myself and our leadership team here at the Innovation Hub. So hello, everyone. I'm Julia Allworth. I'm the manager here at the Innovation Hub, and I've been here since 2016 when we started. It's great to be here with you today. And I'll pass it off to Ruth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth. I use she, her pronouns. I am the research lead at the Innovation Hub. I've done a few roles here, and now I'm excited to be in this one. I'm also a U of T student, so I'm doing my Master of Education in Social Justice Education. So Arshdeep is not with us, so I think I'll pass it off to Fiza.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fiza. I'm the operations coordinator. I'm also doing my master's part-time at the iSchool in UX and human-centered data science. I'll pass it to Catherine.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine DeMay. I am a recent graduate from the U of T, been here for 6 years, did my master's and my bachelor's in political science. At the Innovation Hub, I am the community coordinator, so I'll be hosting a lot of cool new events that are going to be happening this upcoming fall and winter, and I hope to see some of you here.
Hi everyone, I'm Maxine and I am going into my first year of the Master of Information at the iSchool, specializing in UX design. And I'm the design research team lead at the Innovation Hub, specifically for the supporting student leaders to create change project.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Brooklyn. I am the audiovisual storytelling team lead for the upcoming year. I'm also an MI student concentrating in critical information policy studies and knowledge management and information management. Thank you.
Thank you. So our whole team is here, except for Arshdeep, who's in school today, just finishing up a course, but we're really grateful to be here with you today, and you can feel free to ask us questions in the chat and again afterwards. So with that, let's dive right in. Let me tell you a little bit about the Innovation Hub and who we are. So what is the Innovation Hub? Well, we like to think of ourselves as a student-driven research collective that takes a peer-to-peer approach to understanding students. We use predominantly human-centered design thinking in our work, but we're also really big into storytelling. And the way we do this work typically is that we partner with U of T divisions and departments who give us real design projects. And many of those projects we're going to tell you about later today. For the purpose of helping students to gain meaningful work experience, but also to create real change on campus, because many of our projects lead to real meaningful change. We have a mission, vision, and values that drive our work. Our mission is to improve campus life through student-centric design and that peer-to-peer model. We have a vision for a campus experience designed for every student to flourish academically, socially, and personally. And most importantly, our values. We value accessibility by design. We do this imperfectly, but we're always striving to be more accessible, as well as equity, diversity, and inclusion. We want to create as safe a space as possible at the Innovation Hub for all students to come and be themselves. We listen deeply to student experiences and then translate that information that's gained through that listening into meaningful data that we use to inspire decision makers in the university to create change. And importantly, we also learn together. We're a real learning organization. And so if you're looking to learn and grow and find out that you don't know what you don't know, this might be the place for you, because we are lifelong learners. We have 5 domains of innovation that give scope to our work. Basically, all of our projects and all of our work fall into one or more of these categories. So that's access for every student, both access to education, but also within education, fostering connectedness between students and each other. We know it can be difficult to find a community in such a large decentralized university, but also between students and the university itself. Future Ready Students speaks to that confidence building and building what's required to have a successful future, whether that be a career or more school or something else. Whole student development is those 8 dimensions of well-being, really thinking about the whole student and how people can be as healthy as possible while they're pursuing their education here. And finally, integrated learning experience. This one is about connecting the classroom learning to real life and how that plays out. So this again is really what our work is all about. These are the categories of our work, and the projects that we take on fall into one of these 5 domains. Really, at the Innovation Hub, we're all about why, and our why is to improve campus life. That's why we exist ultimately. And how and what we do is we document student stories that in turn foster empathy in an attempt to really humanize strategic planning efforts at the university and ultimately drive change. And there's many ways that we do that with students, with staff, with faculty. And our how is always expanding as we've recently endeavored into new types of research and storytelling like documentary. Um, but this is really why we exist. Equity, as I mentioned before, is extremely important at the Innovation Hub because we are really human-centered. It's human-centered design thinking, and we try to practice empathy. And you can't practice empathy without equity and recognizing that there needs to be space created for everyone really, and looking at how to support people in getting what they need. And so we bring equity into our work as a team of employees, but also into our research and into our work with students. I'll give you some examples of some recent projects that we've wrapped up to give you an idea of the nature of our work. So last year, we took on a number of research projects, and 3 of them are here. So the first was engagement and belonging for students with disabilities. This was really about how can the university best support students with disabilities to foster a sense of belonging on campus. That report isn't quite yet public on our website, but it's a great report and there's a great insight that we know that the university community will really draw on to try to improve the experience for students with disabilities. EDIA at the School of the Environment. This was a fun project specifically about the School of the Environment, looking at how could they expand equity, diversity, inclusion, and access. And it was really great to work with them and see their commitment to those things. And finally, reception experiences at Health and Wellness. This was a really tactical project that focused on kind of the user experience of folks who go to Health and Wellness, what that reception experience is like and how it can be improved. And I know that my colleagues over at Health and Wellness are already working on implementing some of the ideas that came out of that work.
Okay, thanks, Julia. So next, I'd like to move on into a short introduction into design thinking. So essentially at the Innovation Hub, our work draws on methods from design thinking. And the basic premise behind design thinking is that people support the things they create. So when we're designing with rather than for people. In our context, this means that the administration and students at U of T need to get behind our ideas. To have their support, stakeholders need to be involved at every process in generating ideas, which is why we work with students as well. So this is a human-centered approach on how we can improve campus life, just as Julia was saying it just now. So over the years, we've had quite a few teams, as you can see pictured here. People are really central to our work. They're important to our work. And that's because design thinking requires empathy. So empathy is the core of all of our work. And we do peer-to-peer research. So a really great way to build empathy is by having students work with other students rather than having administration work for or research students. Because of this, trust is really essential to our work, and we need to have that reputation of trust with students in order for our research and our work processes to work. We also like to have a fun environment to work in. We think that this is a way to foster creativity. So we work together in person. As you can see, all of these examples are in person. This is just one way we like to foster creativity, especially with design thinking methods. And because we focus so much on innovation, we're constantly iterating all of our work. This means that as we work collaboratively, the first draft is never the last draft, and we're always open to evolving with our methods as well.
And we talked before about doing design research that leads to change. So I'd love to share just a few of the many examples of projects that we've worked on that have created change on campus. So one you might know about if you've been to Robarts Library recently is the fourth floor was renovated a couple years back. And we actually got to do the research behind this renovation, working with Robarts Library to speak to students about what the library means to them and what they need in a library space. And ultimately, our report of research for that, which you can find on our website, led to the architects taking it and turning it into the space that you see today. So we're really proud to have been part of that. You may also be familiar with our first documentary short, which is called International Students' First 48 Hours. This documentary was officially released last fall, and it had followed seven international students who, in their journey to Canada before leaving and in their first 48 hours. Many of those students have since graduated or are pursuing their programs at all three campuses. And if you haven't seen that documentary, it's a really inspiring watch. It got lots of media attention, and we're really proud about that. And spoiler alert, in the fall, we have another documentary coming out about international students' life after graduation. The Clara Benson Pool Gallery is one of many chill spots across campus. And the Innovation Hub's involvement in this was twofold. First was this idea of a chill spot actually came from the first year of research at the Innovation Hub, where we looked at how could the university be more welcoming and friendly to particularly commuter students, but this was even before our commuter students project. And the Clara Benson Revitalized Pool Gallery was a project that came out of that. As a result of our work around chill spots, the provost at the time put together quite a large fund called the Student Space Enhancement Fund that was designed to give divisions and departments funding or a match in funding to renovate spaces, provided that they would be open to all students and a place to just chill out, not an academic space, but really a chill out space. And we got to work with the team at KPE, Kinesiology and Phys Ed, to support the design of the Clara Benson Pool Gallery with research as well. As Ruth mentioned before, excuse me, creativity and collaboration are so important in our work, and communications is a big part of that. You'll note that we have some communications roles, and the communications teams at the Innovation Hub really work together to bring our stories to life. They collaborate throughout brainstorming, ideation, and execution. And our approach to creativity and graphic design is so iterative. You know, we start at one point and after many, many revisions get to another point, and we have a lot of fun along the way. And just to also give a shout out to our creative teams, a big part of what we do is bringing the research to life. All of the designs you see on the slide, these are original graphic designs from our team. They put together project icons, so each project that we work on gets its own brand. Personas, which are fictional but data-driven representations of our research. We have story moments that kind of tell the story of before and after, imagining a different future with our design principles implemented. Design principle visuals as well as theme visuals. For every project we do, we try to create a bit of a vision or a story. And these are all, again, original graphic designs that are really important to our team and really wow our partners at the end of the projects.
So next, let's get into the work study roles for fall winter 2025-2026. So first, let's start with why work at the Innovation Hub. So this is an opportunity to gain experience outside of the classroom or your degree. It's also an experience it's also a meaningful and supportive working and learning environment. At the Innovation Hub, you'll have a hands-on experience with qualitative research, working with stakeholder and partners, and other community-based programs. Lastly, you'll be able to connect with other students from across the university and learn about new opportunities. So over the years, we've worked with lots of students. Here are some quotes from our past team members about their experiences working at the iHub. aside from our project work, the experiences that our team has with people on a team and making sure they have a fulfilling experience that allows them to grow. So this is also central to our the why of our work. So let's start with Victoria, who says, as a first year, a whirlwind of apprehension flooded my mind. However, upon entering the Innovation Hub, the skepticism deflated almost instantaneously. The climate of trust, support, and growth emphatically offered to students of all backgrounds made me joyfully anticipate designing for campus welfare. I stepped in with reservations and am excitedly, holistically transformed. Next, we have a quote from Willis. So my time at the Innovation Hub has been a truly collaborative and growth-oriented experience. The supportive culture and opportunity to work alongside a passionate team allowed me to build both technical and professional skills while contributing to meaningful data-driven initiatives. So hopefully that sounds appealing to you. I'd like to go over our team structure now. So we do work very collaboratively amongst the teams, and we try not to have too much of a hierarchy, but this is just to give you a general idea of our structure. So we have it organized by teams and team leads, and there are also little spots where you can see work study roles. So I'll quickly get into what each team is. We have the operations teams, which we all introduced ourselves today. We deal with the everyday operations of the iHub so that students can work on doing research. We have Maxine, as she stated, working on the supporting student leaders to create change project. Arsh is not here today, but as leader of the communications at the iHub, she is leading a team of 2 graphic designer and communication assistants. We are looking for a qualitative data archivist, which the roles we'll get into the specifics of in a bit. Lastly, Brooklyn introduced herself as the team lead for the Neurodivergent at University and Global Changemakers projects. And for that team, we are looking for documentary assistance. So in terms of why I work at the Innovation Hub, here are some qualities in candidates that we are looking for. Everyone is different, but the main part is that everyone should have the openness to grow, to learn new things, and be willing to respond to iteration and feedback. It's all supposed to be a learning experience, and having an interest in the student experience and contributing in your own way really is something that goes a long way. So just to reiterate, we're looking for willingness to learn new skills, being open to feedback and iteration, being passionate about the student experiences, taking initiative, being respectful of others' stories or perspectives, being open to failure, responsive to feedback, looking for new experiences, being organized and accountable, and someone who asks questions. So to tell you a little bit more about those projects we touched on earlier, we have starting with supporting student leaders to create change. So we are essentially doing this one research project this year. Specifically, we are looking to hear from student leaders in an attempt to gain understanding into what they need to thrive as student leaders in student governance positions at the university. We have an upcoming documentary product, which is the end product is going to be a documentary like our previous ones. Our first one is Neurodivergent at University. We are looking for 6 neurodivergent students to kind of share their everyday lives and experiences with us in order to foster understanding about the neurodivergent experience at U of T. Lastly, we are working on our Global Changemakers documentary, which is again, similarly looking at several students and their experiences in trying to use the skills that they learned at U of T or other places and actually implementing change in their community and what that looks like. I mentioned that I would get into the specifics of what these roles entail because the titles aren't always immediately intuitive. So I just want to start with the design researcher. So this is a design student researcher role. You'll be working with Maxine on understanding the experiences of student leaders. We have our qualitative data archivist role, which is a research support role, essentially. So you'll be working with a large amount of student data, making sure everything's stored properly, and helping out with the data analysis process, specifically with these design research projects. Next, we have our graphic designer and communications assistants. So these are people responsible for creating graphics and formatting our reports and other materials that come out of the iHub. And lastly, documentary assistants. We are looking for people who have, the ability to work with large amounts of footage, handle it, and work with our videographer in the process of creating our documentaries.
Great. So applying to the Innovation Hub, I'd just like to go over the hiring process as well as some details about how to apply and some tips along the way. So let's start with the hiring process. So to get ready to apply, if you are interested, we suggest that you would prepare your resume and cover letter. And if you're looking for a graphic designer role, we would also need to see a portfolio of your design work, preferably completed in the Adobe suite, because that's the software package that we use. We strongly suggest that your resume and cover letter be human generated rather than AI generated. And the reason for that is that we really look to get to know you in the process. We are a human-centered organization. And so we'd rather see, a few little spelling or grammar mistakes and hear your own voice and a custom cover letter as to why you want to work here than something that's AI generated for this organization. You can apply through CLNX when the job's open, or if you want to get a head start, we also have our MS form available to apply online at the website uoft.me/ihubworkstudy, which we'll give you shortly. Our selection process involves sometimes screening interviews, often a pre-interview challenge that's related to the role that you're applying to, as well as an interview. And once we've selected our successful candidates, we send offers via email, and then we have an orientation in person. So that's the high-level process. In terms of dates, you can apply through the Microsoft form starting now, but officially between August 14th to 19th, and we accept applications on a rolling basis. After your application submission, we will review all applicants and then go through our screening and interview process. And our selected candidates will attend that orientation training session on September 5th. A few tips to help you in the application process, and certainly in the Q&A, we can get into these in more detail as well. We ask all applicants to apply only to one role. So when you fill out the form, you'll apply to the role that you're most interested in. But our process with hiring is that if we think that you're great, but you might be a great fit for a different role, we're going to consider you automatically for a different role. So you don't have to apply to all of them. We just want you to apply once. We would invite you to make sure you check out our website to learn more about our work. We're looking for people who know what we do and have learned about what we do. And so we would invite you to do a little background research before you apply. Think about the length of your application, be succinct and clear. Read the application instructions and the job descriptions carefully to make sure that you understand what you're getting into. Make sure you're eligible for the work study program. At this point, what we are going to be hiring is work study roles, and there are some eligibility requirements. And in your application, do tell us why you want to be part of our team. Why is this work interesting to you? If you are preparing a portfolio for one of the graphic design roles, this is required for the graphic design roles. We need to see examples of your past work. If you already have a portfolio, that's great. Just include the link. If not, but you want to throw some past work confidentially into a shared folder, you can include that link. That's fine. give us 3 to 5 of your best projects. They should reflect the role you're applying to or your best examples of your work. Make sure that any link that you send us is accessible and not password locked, and make sure that everything is easy to read and navigate. How you're going to give us your portfolio is a link in your website, so make sure that it is in some shareable link form. So a little bit more about the work study program, in case you're not too familiar with it. There are thousands of students that participate in the work study program every year. It's a great program. It gives you the opportunity to balance your work with your academic studies, but also an opportunity to deepen your knowledge, strengthen skills, and connect your academic studies to career possibilities. Our team tends to be very interdisciplinary and diverse. We hire undergrads, masters, and PhD students, so everyone is welcome. We have a very diverse team. All positions on the work study program are also co-curricular recognized. And in our program, we also provide additional professional development opportunities through programs that we've designed in design thinking, but we also provide one-on-one coaching through a learning journey program for all of our successful employees. You have to be eligible for the work study program, and you can find out about that eligibility on the CLNX website. The job is $17.60 an hour. That's the work study rate. It's set by the university. The jobs are about 6 to 8 hours per week on average, and you work up to 200 hours from September to March in the role. So it's great part-time work. It's important to know that all of our work is in person. We do not have remote work opportunities. Lots of them exist at U of T, so if that's what you're looking for, you will probably be able to find it. But our applicants must be able to work in person at our St. George campus location. We're located in the Student Commons at 230 College Street, between Spadina and St. George Streets there. So we're a great accessible location from transit. We do have in-person requirements, as I said, for all of our work. You're also required to bring your own technology, so a laptop, and if you're in a design role, you need to have Adobe Illustrator and InDesign as well. Just a preview of what we do at orientation. So we do have Friday, September 5th booked from 9 to 5 for orientation. You're going to learn about how we work at iHub. We're going to provide lunch. You can meet the team and connect with all the iHub team members, and you'll get to meet your team leader and have your first team meeting and first team social that day as well. So just to recap on some important dates and information, you can apply to the Innovation Hub today by going to uoft.me/iHub work study, but make sure that you submit your application by August 19th, just before midnight. And if you'd like, you can subscribe to our blog on our website there. And we are going to email and also post the event recording in case you want to refer back to this webinar. And for work study program information, you can go to the work study program and career exploration resources. So we're going to stop it there. I'll just put a quick QR code up on the screen so that you can scan it if you'd like to get directed right to the website. If you're not able to access the QR code, you can just type uoft.me/iHub work study. It will take you to the page with all the full job descriptions as well. Before we go to questions and end the recording, I just want to thank you on behalf of our team. You can find us at uoft.me/innovationhub or get in touch with us at innovationhub@utoronto.ca. So thank you all so much for attending today. And I'm just going to end the recording so that we can do a bit of a Q&A.